Hello and welcome to CodeLad. I'm Ali and this is the fifth tutorial for HTML. In this tutorial we're gonna talk about CSS. So what is CSS? The full form of CSS is Cascading Style Sheet. CSS is used to style web pages. We did a little bit of CSS in the last tutorial, so let's head over to Sublime Text. So this is a preview of what we are gonna do today. I'm gonna just remove all these things and start from the scratch so you can easily understand. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is write two tags. One is h1 tag. I'm gonna write heading 1 in it, and the second is a paragraph tag. I'm writing these tags so I can apply styles to it so you can understand easily. graph. Okay, so there are three types of style. First is inline, second is internal, and third is external. What we did in the last video was inline styling. I'm going to show you a little bit about inline styling if you missed the last video, but I recommend watching the last video for inline styling. So I'm going to add an attribute of style, and I'm going to add property of color, and I'm going to do color blue. Okay, this will change the color of heading 1 to blue. Let me show you. Go over here and open it with Chrome, and as you can see the color of heading 1 is now blue. Now the second type of styling is internal styling. Internal styling is used to style a whole web page. For example, if I have multiple h1 tags, I'm gonna add heading 2 and another h1 tag just so you can understand easily. So I want all these tags to be colored blue. What's the first thing come in your mind will be that we should add this style attribute to each tag individually. But over here there are only three tags. If you are working on a big project and there are for example 100 of h1 tags, now what you are going to do, you are going to add a style attribute to each of them? No. So the easier way is to define a style tag, which we do in head section of the HTML. I'm gonna write style and opening and closing tag, and this is internal styling. Now in here I'm gonna write h1 because we want to color the h1, and I'm gonna open curly braces and close curly braces. You can see these are curly braces. In between them I'm gonna define the property and its value, CSS property. So I'm gonna write color and I'm gonna do it let's say red. Okay, I'm gonna save it. Now I will go over here, refresh it. You can see these two headings have been colored red, but this one is still blue. Why? Because HTML language override internal or external styling from inline style if same property is defined in either of them. So when this code was running, it come over here, it saw that h1 has a style of color blue, it applied color blue to it, and but the color red will only be applied to the ones which do not have a style attribute in their tag. Now if I remove this from over here, this will also become red. You can see. So this is the benefit of using internal styling over inline styling. Now I can also change the style of paragraph tag like this. Font size, let's say 40 pixels. Save it. You see, font size has been increased. Now the third type of styling is external styling. So external styling is used to style multiple pages. For that we have to create an external file of CSS. So let's go ahead and do that. Go to file, new file, and save this file. Name it whatever you want. I'm gonna name it style, but make sure you end it with .css. So it will be a CSS file. Save it, and now it is a CSS file. Now it won't work right now with tutorial 5. Why? Because it is not linked. To work style.css with tutorial 5, it has to be linked. To how to link it? we have to define a link tag in head part of the HTML. I'm gonna write link, and then I'm gonna write href, which is hreference. You know that. I'm gonna write the name of the file because it is in the same folder as of the tutorial file. I'm gonna define the relation rel, which is style sheet. So now the link has been created. Now if we go over here and I write body and I add a background color of let's say gray, and I'm gonna go over here, refresh it, and as you can see the color is gray. This also proves that the external file is working and the link is properly created. Now another important part is ID and classes. These both are attribute of HTML tags. So for example, if I want to increase its size, this tag h1 in tag size, specifically this one, how to do that? You are again thinking that I add inline styling, but inline styling is not considered a great way of styling in a professional world. So what I am gonna do is I'm gonna define a tag of ID and I'm gonna name it whatever I want. For example, I will name it h2 because it is heading to it in between. So what is ID? Most of you will have a national identity card. There will be a specific your ID which will not be given to any other person in the whole country. So like that ID over here, this ID is also unique. You can only give an ID to one tag. You cannot add the same ID to paragraph or any other tag. I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna define the ID. Define the ID, you have to use hash and then the name of the ID, which is h2. Open and close curly braces, and in there I'm gonna write let's say font family. I can change the font family to Courier. I'm gonna go over here, refresh it. You can see it has been changed. It is now heading 2 is now in Courier style. Now the second thing is classes. I can add classes to multiple tags. For example, there are, let's say, 100 of h1 tags, but you want 10 of them to be red, the rest of them to be blue, or the other way around. So you will add classes to the 10 of them which you want specifically red. For example, I'm gonna go over here, add class of, let's say, blue. I'm gonna create a class of blue. I'm gonna go over here, and to define a class you have to use dot operator and then blue. Open and curly braces, color, color. I'm gonna define blue. Save it, go over here, refresh it. You can see this is now blue. But if you want to add blue to the paragraph, add blue to the heading 1, you can do that. Let me show you. I'm gonna go to paragraph and add a class of blue, and it will now be blue. You can see paragraph is also blue. So this is the difference between ID and tag, and they are very important part of CSS and HTML. So we can also add styling to images. Let me add an image over here, src van.jpg. This file is already over there. I'm gonna go over here, refresh it, and the image has been added. Now to add styles to it, I can either use an ID. I'm gonna use an ID so you can understand properly, and I'm gonna write van, the name of the file. So hash van, and I'm gonna add width to it, like say 700 pixels, height 500 pixels. Save it, go over here, refresh it. You can see it is now smaller. I can also add border to it, like let's say 5 pixel solid black. Now you might not understand it, but there will be a whole another series of tutorial for CSS which will be in detail, but I'm going to just tell you this is the boldness of the border. This is that solid means it will be a solid line, and this is the color. So I'm going to go over here, refresh it, I think I did not save it, then refresh it. You see, there is a border over here now. Now another thing we can add is padding. Let's say 10 pixels, and it will add a padding to the border. You can see now there is a 10 pixel difference between the image and the border. So padding has been added inside the border. So this is CSS. It is a very important part of HTML. You should practice it, and if you have any problem, please ask me. I will make sure to answer you. This is it for today, guys. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.